Carolina beat Duke at home easily. Duke had to go practically to the buzzer to beat North Carolina at home, and now it's on the neutral court. That one comes your way tomorrow. Don't forget, coming up next, it's the Atlantic 10 championship game. Xavier against GW. This one's early on. You won't miss much. Gary Lumpkin gets a long rebound here, launches a three-pointer as Xavier had built a lead. It's a 5-point lead. When we come back, we'll take you out to that Atlantic 10 championship game. It's all coming up. Championship week.
I'm Dan Patrick.
Championship week presented by 7-Up. We welcome you to the Core State Spectrum in Philadelphia, the Atlantic 10 Championship. It's the Xavier Musketeers, the 1 seed in the West against the 2 seed in the West, the George Washington Colonials. Xavier got off to the quick start. Darnell Williams, three-point opportunity for the Musketeers. This is a dynamic young performer.
Xavier wants to up-tempo this basketball game. They've been doing it with some pressure defense early with their full-court press. But when Darnell Williams gets out to run, he is near unstoppable in the open court. Great along the baseline. An acrobatic performer. Did a nice job of changing speed to get J.J. Braid to run underneath him, but still concentrated on finishing the play.
Second team All-Atlantic 10 performer is Darnell Williams. Here's a look at what we have to this point. Xavier shooting 50%. They got 6 points off of turnovers, and GW already is not taking care of the ball.
Primary goal of this full-court press is to get the ball out of the hands of Shante Rogers. Xavier wants to force other GW players to handle the basketball. They figure that George Washington is not going to be near as effective offensively.
Xavier on an 8-0 run right now. Here's Rogers with the ball. Gives it to Braid to Musketeers is back in the game. Baseline, tried to dump it into DeMiranda, and McAfee takes over. Ahead to Lumpkin. Nice catch. Leave it for Posey. He got fouled by King. His second. So the foul starting to mount for George Washington. 2 for Braid, 2 for King, and 2 for Cool.
Xavier defensively is so solid. They get a lot of deflections, and when they do, they're quick to the basketball to get the loose ball. Skip Prosser has spent the better part of the day in bed with the flu. He was lying down in the locker room before coming out for the ball game, but he's going to cut it out just like he's asking his players to cut it out.
You can see it in his eyes. Posey at the line. 2-time Atlantic 10 6th man of the year. Pat Gamba coming back in for George Washington.
Well, you know, Skip Prosser, he's not feeling well, but he preaches to his team that no matter what, you got to get up and go to work. And he's going to lead by example as he has all season long. Posey and Braggs yesterday against Rhode Island were spectacular. The two of them out-rebounded the Rams by themselves.
How scary is that? 41-22 was the Xavier advantage on the boards.
Where they're especially tough there, Braggs and Posey, is on the offensive glass. They're difficult to block out. Braggs because of his strength, Posey because of his strength and his quickness.
DeMiranda, some solid minutes yesterday for George Washington in the win over Temple. Turnover, McAfee ahead of the pack. Lays it up high, missed it. DeMiranda's there for George Washington.
Nice job by DeMiranda running the court. He never gave up on the play.
Shante Rogers, cross court. This catch by Musketeers inside to DeMiranda. He's up, he got fouled. McAfee got him. And George Washington struggling, trying to get some points.
Here's that last steal by McAfee, just jumping in front of J.J. Braid. Musketeers got to give a little pass fake there. And McAfee taking it in, lofting it high above, so Musketeers can't get it. Posey just misses it, and DeMiranda running the court. He could have just thought that McAfee was going to make that and forget it, but he hustled down the court and got the rebound.
Francisco DeMiranda, 6'9" sophomore. Lonnie Brown comes in for his backcourt mate, Gary Lumpkin.
And how big was DeMiranda yesterday in that ball game against Temple? Came up with 11 points more impressively. 5 assists and 4 rebounds in just 18 minutes.
1 out of 2 for Francisco. 17-7 Xavier leading. #1 scoring team in the Atlantic 10, 11th national. Xavier's won 3 straight, 6 of 8. They're ranked as high as 7th this year. Good year for the Atlantic 10 Conference. Posey backing in, turn, can't get it. And kept alive, and Shante Rogers will take over.
Dante Rogers is definitely the floor general for this team, and that's what he's doing more of this season, taking it on his own and putting up the shot. You know, Mike Jarvis has said his job isn't to shoot. His job is to get the right people the right shots, and oftentimes he can be that right person, but he has to know the difference.
He was against UMass. He had 28 points of 7 of 14 shooting.
And he was deadly from the free throw line in that ballgame.
12 out of 13. Xavier by 8. Posey up strong and scores. Well, he's got everything in the talent bag, doesn't he?
He really does. Usually you see a team that may have one versatile performer. They're lucky to have that. Xavier's got two, Darnell Williams and James Posey. Posey brings so much to this team, it's almost indescribable.
Nice pass. King, acrobatic, and he scores. Shantae Rogers with the penetration, and GW now in double figures. Still trailing, though, by 8.
Press is going to present some opportunities. Opportunities to turn it over and opportunities to get some easy baskets.
And they get McAfee. Jody Sylvester working with Donnie Gray and Mike Sangier. Second foul on McAfee.
Second, team 7.
And that's the 7th team foul. Both teams in the 1-and-1 right now. Here at the Atlantic 10 Championship, first time no Philadelphia-based team has been in the A10 final since 1992 when UMass beat West Virginia 97-91. Last year it was that Cinderella St. Joseph's team, and generally you see Temple in here, and they had that 5-year run where they lost to UMass.
Well, the George Washington coaching staff knows just how big of an accomplishment it was to beat Temple here in Philadelphia in the Atlantic 10 tournament. This is the first appearance that GW has made in the final since 1991 when they lost to Penn State. This is a guy that has struggled over the last 9 games since he came back from an injured ankle that he injured against Xavier.
Got a timeout on the floor, 9:41 to go. George Washington is close to within 6 here at the A10 Championship game. Xavier with a 19-13 lead here in the Atlantic 10 Championship. Dave Sims and Jay Billis with you here in Philadelphia at the Core State Spectrum. Xavier had a lead of 11, 17-6. GW on a 7-2 run since then. Here in Philadelphia, I'm Dave Sims with Jay Billis, and Xavier after the quick start. A lot of things that we talked about, their depth and their front court power is really coming through.
Well, George Washington's been pretty patient with the basketball, though, when they've broken that pressure, which has been very difficult for them to do because Xavier is such a good pressing team. When GW is patient in their half-court offense, they're getting some good shots.
Posey with Brown, Williams, Lumpkin, and T.J. Johnson. Williams can't get that one. DeMiranda the rebound for the Colonials.
And one of the things that's evident for Xavier is they need Torrey Braggs to be on the court.
He's on the bench, 2 fouls. That one missed badly. DeMiranda with the putback. And the miss by J.J. Braid. Outlet. Nice catch by Braid. Saved it. But right to Lenny Brown. Brown spinning. And off the glass. Real physical game, just as we expected.
Lenny Brown is so tough. Gets that ball back and goes right up strong. You thought there might be some kind of call when J.J. Braid hit the deck.
Look at this matchup. Shantae Rogers is tough a customer as there is, and one of the great little men in college basketball. Here's Musketeers. He's looking inside to Cisco, and he scores.
A little bit of a mismatch inside. Darnell Williams had to switch off on Francisco DeMiranda, and DeMiranda just locked him down in the post, got good contact, and wouldn't allow Darnell Williams to use his quickness to get around in front to discourage that pass.
DeMiranda brings George Washington within 4. 5 points off the bench for DeMiranda.
Tough matchup for Yegor Masharikov, having guard Williams doing a nice job of being big on him when he catches the ball. As long as Masharikov is there on the catch, he's going to have a chance to be successful in defending Darnell Williams.
Pat Gamba picks up his first foul. Braggs is coming back into the game. He took a seat about 5 minutes ago with his second foul. And Andre Krivenos, defensive specialist, comes in to pick up J.J. Braid. Braid could not give them George Washington the offensive lift that he gave him the last 2 nights. There's Krivenos is in the game. And look at T.J. Johnson. Front rim that one. It'll stay right here. Xavier ball.
Free throw blockouts are so important in these ball games. And Xavier does a tremendous job on the offensive glass, not only in their half-court offense, but off of free throws.
Darnell Williams, long corner jump is no good, and Prevenos takes down the rebound. The GW looking to cut into this 4-point lead of Xavier. Prevenos in the corner.
A little 2-3 zone being put up by Xavier.
They feed Gamba. Lost control, but it was knocked out of bounds by Xavier. T.J. Johnson, he gives a little wry smile. Got a timeout on the floor. 7:41 to go here in the Atlantic 10 Championship from Philadelphia. George Washington on the short end right now, but making a comeback, trailing by 4. And a reminder, championship week presented by 7-Up. Big day tomorrow, 1 p.m., the ACC Championship. Carolina against Duke. And then the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. First time ESPN's presenting this exclusive coverage. It'll be Oklahoma-Texas winner against Kansas. And then it is Oklahoma against Kansas. And then the Big West Championship. That's all coming up tomorrow on ESPN. The Xavier pressure. Jay Billis has really done some numbers here.
And I think the key statistic there, Dave, is the deflection. Xavier does such a great job playing defense, not only with its feet, but with its hands. They've got long arms, and they use their hands very effectively in tracing the ball, and they get a lot of deflections, which turn into turnovers.
Rogers gets it into DeMoranda. Now takes it back. Musketeers has not been looking for a shot today, Dave.
Well, he's only been averaging 9 points in the 9 games since he's been back from his injured ankle that he injured against Xavier. He's really struggled, and he was playing so well before that, letting the game come to him, putting up some big numbers, and getting it in such an impressive and mature fashion.
3 on the shot clock, so the Colonials are going to have to act quickly here. They get it into Rogers. They try to set a pick. Boy, he got the shot off. And Musketeers rebounds, goes up strong and scores.
Xavier did a great job defending the out-of-bounds play. They just didn't finish the play up with the defensive rebound.
Musketeers with 4 points. Baseline's cut off. They get the pass inside. Johnson, no. Gamba rebound.
Tell you what, you better take it to the hole strong in this ball game, because there's going to be some contact, and unless you lose a limb, it's probably going to be turned incidental.
You bet. They are letting them play. Under 7 to go, first half. Rogers had it blocked. T.J. Johnson got it. Braggs, can he save it? He does.
And had Braggs not mishandled that initially, T.J. Johnson had a layup going the other way.
You bet. He leaked out. Brown, take it back out. Lumpkin quickly inside to Braggs. Little jump hook. Nice touch.
And what a great catch. Torrey Braggs has great hands. He just catches everything. And he had 23 points, 11 rebounds last night in their big win over Rhode Island. He was a huge part of that.
Yeah, 2 assists and a steal as well, too. So don't show him the ball.
Well, everybody on this Xavier squad is capable of getting steals. T.J. Johnson has 49 steals himself. He's got great hands, able to reach in as well and knock that ball away. But Xavier reaches with a purpose. They don't just reach to reach. They go after the basketball. They go to grab it.
Tell you what, they established that style of play. They probably get away with some leeway. As almost on cue, Lumpkin will break it off. Nice pass to Brown. Count it. Nice play by the pair of Lumpkin and Brown.
Dave, that is Xavier basketball. Lenny Brown, second in the Atlantic 10 in steals behind Pepe Sanchez, who just happens to lead the nation in that category, getting it ahead to his teammate, Gary Lumpkin, that he's played with since grade school. And as he's fallen down, what a play by Lumpkin. Eyes in the back of his head to get it to Brown. They just instinctively know where each other's going to be on the basketball floor. And Lenny Brown finishing the play strong.
First foul on DeMoranda.
Now, these 2 guys, Lenny Brown and Gary Lumpkin, were first-team All-Atlantic 10 performers last year, second team this season. Talk about a pair that can play every facet of this game. That's them.
Lenny Brown, 3-point play and a beauty. 26-19 Xavier.
Little 1-2-2 3-quarter court pressure going to be put up by Xavier.
See how George Washington handles it. He's got Musketeers, Rogers, Gongo, King just came back in, as well as Poole. And the fast break numbers. Testimonial to the fact that Xavier is such a great scoring club.
Getting a lot of easy baskets in transition, whether it's off their defense or off of a defensive rebound. They go from defense to offense so quickly. Right now, 3-2 zone, they're matching up on it.
Sherikoff trying to create off the dribble, gets it to Rogers. He's got 5 on the shot clock. Gamba with 3 into the corner for King. Can't get it. Rebound goes to Posey. We got 4 on 2. The trailer, Brown fumbled it. Puts up a runner into the lane, and he hit it. It's an X kind of night.
You know, one of the reasons that Gary Lumpkin and Lenny Brown did not wind up on first-team all-conference this season as opposed to last year is they didn't have a great year shooting the ball, but Lenny Brown's got his confidence back. He's been shooting extraordinarily well lately.
King tried to force it. Posey with the rebound. And it's a foul against Mike King.
There is no more versatile player in the Atlantic 10 Conference than James Posey. He's able to get out and defend. He's good offensively. He can shoot the perimeter shot. A great offensive rebounder. Not a good one, a great one. Very difficult to block out. His versatility is the reason I think he is the best 6th man in college basketball. Got the 6th man award for the 2nd year in a row in the A-10 Conference, and for good reason.
Big-time talent, 6'8" junior, Twinsburg, Ohio. Mike King, 3rd foul on him. And that is not good news for George Washington. That was the 10th team foul.
And King will be going out of the ball game. There's a new rule in college basketball this year. You can only substitute in between the 1st and 2nd free throw, and that has crossed up more than a couple coaches and referees this season.
No doubt about it.
But as soon as this free throw is either made or missed, Mike King is going to take a seat, and J.J. Braid will replace him.
You're an NBA scout, and you watch Posey play, and you're thinking, when can I get my hands on this kid? How do we get him on the ball club?
Well, Skip Prosser saying hands off. So athletic James Posey is. Second on this team in scoring and like you're saying, leading them in rebounding. Just a few ahead of Torrey Bragg.
Got all the rim on that one. And an 11-point lead for George Washington. That ties their biggest lead of the evening.
With pressure, the 1-2-2 3/4 court pressure is kind of taking some of the aggressiveness away from George Washington. They really have to be aggressive in the half-court offense. Take the ball toward the basket, get into those gaps.
Sherikoff gets into the gap, and it's taken away, but fouled by Lenny Brown.
Well, if he wasn't fouled, he had a nice pass off to his right to Shante Rogers, who would have been wide open for a 3. That's why you need to attack those gaps, because it freezes those defenders and opens up a perimeter shot for somebody who's spotting up.
And that's how Xavier was so successful. I checked that George Washington was so successful last night against the Temple Owls, because they found what little seams there were and attacked them quickly.
And once you get into those seams, you can get a lot of good things. I mean, there are a lot of ways to attack a zone defense. You can attack it by distorting it, by overloading one side. You can attack it by trying to shoot from the perimeter and moving the ball around and thus making the defense move, or you can attack it through penetration.
McAfee back into the game. There was one point last night where Musketeers didn't attack, and he got the free throw line, and Mike Jarvis was screaming at him, and Musketeers went over and said, "Coach, you got to stop screaming at me."
At least have the courtesy to scream at me in my own language.
Mike said, "Who loves you more than I do?" And Musketeers said, "My father." He says, "Well, I'm next."
Not when you're missing that free throw line jumper, he doesn't.
Good power rebound by T.J. Johnson. Big hit, too. And down goes McAfee. Lost it. So it's a turnover for George Washington, for Xavier, their 6th.
McAfee was in the dark over there in the corner. Alexander Kuhl just puts a shadow on the floor.
He was a big...
So strong inside. When he anchors himself down low, it's impossible to move him off the block. That's why it's so important to meet him early. The further he is away from the low block, the better chance you have of keeping him from scoring. If he gets it inside the paint, it's near impossible to stop.
Braid in the corner. Battle inside. Kuhl calling for the ball. He's battling with Braggs and T.J. Johnson. Under 4 to play here in the first half. Long shot by Rogers, and he hits it. So Shante Rogers, his 53rd 3 of the season. And we've got a timeout on the floor. 3:45 to go. Xavier with a 30-24 lead. And let's check out the many faces of Mike Jarvis, the GW coach. Xavier Musketeers by 6 here in the Atlantic 10 Championship at Philadelphia. Dave Sims and Jay Billis with him. 3:45 to go, first half. Take a look at some numbers, turnover numbers.
Xavier, one of the best teams in the Atlantic 10 in forcing turnovers. They forced 22 a game. And you can see they lead the conference in a number of different categories. Dave, this is a very balanced team. They have 5 guys who average double figures in scoring.
Brown right over Cool, front rimmed it. Gamba rebounds.
Now Brown knows what it's like to shoot over the Empire State Building.
Grivenos with Gamba, Rogers, Cool, and Braid on the floor.
A little bit of a surprise. Xavier going with this zone. 3-2. They have played some zone from time to time, but it really does seem like it's taken away some of the offensive aggressiveness of GW.
Question.
You know, one of the reasons you play zone is to get the offense to stand around, and they're just feeding right into your defense if they do that. You've got to move against the zone.
Turnover story, 13-5. And, you know, when you think A-10, you think zone, you think Temple.
Exactly. But Temple plays it so much differently than everybody else. They match up out of it. They trap at different times. You never really know what you're going to get. This zone defense that's been put up by Xavier has some man principles in it. They're playing, looks like man on the out of bounds.
Sherikoff couldn't get that. His scoring struggle continues. Bodies flying all over the place.
You know, one thing that Xavier does extraordinarily well is defend out of bounds plays. The Xavier coaching staff gives their team 10 to 12-page scouting reports, and a lot of that is details about how you're going to defend the out-of-bounds play, because Prosser thinks that out-of-bounds plays are like the kicking game in football.
Gamba's second foul. 7-up halftime report coming your way in a few minutes. Tigger Phelps, Chris Fowler. Check out that ACC Epic, the Big Ten and SEC semis.
For those who thought the Atlantic Coast Conference tournament was a little bit boring the first couple days, they got their money's worth today, didn't they?
And some. Posey with another point at the line. T.J. Johnson comes in to get frags, and DeMiranda for Gamba for George Washington. Posey with 6 points today.
Good substitution by Skip Prosser to get T.J. Johnson in. Torrey Braggs can avoid that next foul.
Good trip for Posey, knocks them both down. 32-24, Xavier.
Staying with the 1-2-2 3/4 court press, trying to get the ball out of the hands of Chante Rogers.
Cool diagonal pass to Musketeers. Get it into the big guy, wasn't ready. Slippage. Been a lot of the slippage here on the four-state Spectrum floor. There is ice. The American Hockey League Philadelphia Phantoms play here, and we've seen a lot of that in the last few days. Foul against George Washington. And that's Chante Rogers, his first.
Francisco DeMiranda got the ball down along the baseline, tried to force it into Alexander Cool. He needs to shoot that ball right there. He was wide open for the shot. He just fed it right into a turnover, and Alexander Cool was absolutely livid. But James Posey did a tremendous job of sticking with it after he fell down and getting control of that basketball. Somebody's got to get on the floor and dive on that ball with him.
Lonnie Brown at 73% this year at the line.
One of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. When you foul Xavier, usually they punish you by making their free throws.
Oh, wow, 73% as a team. So Rogers into the teeth of the Xavier trap. And a foul off the ball. Let's see. It was down low as T.J. Johnson and Alexander Cool. Johnny Gray all over it. And they get T.J. Johnson.
Well, T.J. Johnson trying to rough up Alexander Cool to keep him off that low block. You had better bring your manhood with you in this ballgame. There's going to be an awful lot of pushing and shoving. And perhaps a little bit of an Oscar nod.
Oh, yeah, it is that time of year, isn't it? My goodness. Jay Billis, the envelope, please. Cool just 56-6 from the line. Up and over. Look at Rogers. He got a rebound. Almost 5 a game. Can you believe that?
Well, he's just always around the ball. I'm not sure it's explainable. He's just got a knack for going after those rebounds. And you know what, Dave? He's always been smaller. He's always had to prove himself and do those tough things.
Cole had a chip. He missed it. He got fouled, though. He was determined. In fact, he was demanding the ball in that possession.
Well, Alexander Cool doesn't miss many shots down low. He shoots 57% from the field. But the thing that was impressive about that is when he got the offensive rebound, he kept it up high.
Number 45, Alexander Cool.
Foul was on Johnson, his second. All academic Atlantic 10. All-time shot blocker George Washington. Pike Jarvis agonizing through this one.
Cool's been really tough on the boards in this tournament. 13 rebounds against Temple in the semis, 10 against UMass in the first round.
Sherikoff had it for a moment. GW fans shouting that he got fouled. Xavier back with the ball. Lumpkin leads from Williams. Long jumper. Can't get it. Miranda rebound. Boy, guys falling all over the place.
T.J. Johnson smiling about it.
Left-handed layup by Shante Rogers. He broke his man down and scored. Shante, he's got 7.
One of the things that Shante Rogers doesn't get enough credit for is just how strong he is. Lynn Greer of Temple was being guarded by Rogers yesterday. He couldn't get open. He just anchored him to the floor.
Rebound to Cool off the miss. Rogers with Miranda ahead of the pack. Couldn't make the catch.
A great outlet pass by Alexander Cool.
Skip Prosser calls a 20-second timeout for Xavier.
Here's the pass to Miranda. And it looks like he just took his eye off of it because he was thinking about going up strong for that shot. And it went out of bounds. But what a great game he had last night.
We got hockey coming your way here on ESPN at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Penguins won today. The second half of the home and home tomorrow. It'll be the 1000th NHL game covered by ESPN. Northeast Division action. Jaromir Jagr, Eric Lindros. Lindros was sent to the hospital today. Checked, a hard legal check by Darius Kasparaitis. And the great names in Philadelphia Flyer history, Bernie Perron, Barry Ashby, the late Flyer defenseman, part of the history here in Philadelphia. Xavier, 6-point lead, minute and a half to go, first half. Lenny Brown slipped a little bit. See the crown on his face? Brown had it knocked away. Miranda comes up with it for George Washington. Rogers, nice pass. Masharikov to Cool, goes up. And he'll shoot a couple at the line. But, boy, talk about a blown opportunity. And nobody knows it better than Alexander Cool.
What a tremendous pass by Shante Rogers to Masharikov along the baseline. Here you see him threading that needle, and Masharikov doing a nice job of interior passing to Alexander Cool. And you're right, Dave, that's a play that Alexander Cool has got to finish. And he was not happy at all about that. The second time he's gotten the ball down low, unable to come away with a basket.
Very smart young man. I wonder if he was in Russian or English.
Well, I'll tell you what.
In his despair at that moment.
One of the things he's done is improve his conditioning.
Oh, look at the fall there. Rogers comes up with the ball.
Hard to believe there was no call on that play one way or the other.
Boy, I tell you what, guys are just slipping all over the place.
Well, that wasn't a slip. That was a bump. And Donnie Gray told T.J. Johnson to get right up.
Look out.
There was a couple guys that were doing a little bit of acting.
A couple of flops.
Yep.
Well, another thing made famous in this building by the Flyers, Bill Barber was one of the great flop artists in hockey history.
Here's the free throw. And take a look. First and 10. Seiko Kamara with the three-point takedown.
Full contact basketball, wrestling.
Number 15, Reese McAfee.
GW on the offensive boards. Slight advantage. McAfee in for Lumpkin.
1 minute.
The final minute of play. Xavier will go with T.J. Johnson, McAfee, Posey, Lenny Brown, and Darnell Williams.
If Xavier gets up a quick shot, they can get a 2-for-1 out of this.
We saw Lenny Brown slip on that left wing.
Coming around for a little curl screen when you plant. There's a little bit of moisture on the floor. He's going to go down.
You bet. 8 on the shot clock. Posey trying to deal. Stepped on the baseline. Turnover, Xavier.
Xavier had a real opportunity here, Dave. One, they could have gone for a 2-for-1. They've got the arrow in their favor. So that if they had done that and they got a stop, they could really get a nice run going, especially when they start the second half with the ball. They could have really gotten 3 possessions to George Washington's single possession.
Mike Jarvis directing his point guard, Shante Rogers. Clock winding down. 5-point Xavier lead here in the A-10 championship. Long shot by Camarade. Didn't get too much. Jay Miranda rebounds with 2. Can he get the shot off? No call, and that'll do it. 20 minutes complete here in Philadelphia at the Atlantic 10 Championship. Xavier with a 33-28 lead over George Washington. Chris Fowler, a lot of slipping and sliding and some good ball down here in Philly.
Well, Dave, you said it. It's like a Flyers hockey game next door at the old Spectrum. A lot of body checking. Semenko and Schultz and company.
I think Xavier's got to really keep their pressure going because the 14 turnovers mean a lot. But if I'm GW, pound the ball inside. Last night against Temple, you went 49 for 30 on the boards. And I really think Michael King, 19 points against Temple, he's got to be more involved.
They won't win playing Xavier's game. Coming up in the ACC, dual classics. Plus, Arizona, UCLA, and Prairie View, Cinderella lives.
ESPN's presentation of Championship Week is presented by 7-Up. 7-Up and your local 7-Up bottler invite you to try the crisp new taste of 7-Up. And in part by the full line of vehicles from Mitsubishi, built for living. By 7-Up. 7-Up and your local 7-Up bottler invite you to try the crisp new taste of 7-Up.
Moments away from the start of the second half here in Philadelphia at the Coors State Spectrum, the Atlantic 10 Championship. The Xavier Musketeers 5-point lead. Dave Sims and Jay Billison. Jay, the first half, it was Xavier's defense. They did a great job limiting George Washington's shot opportunities and held him to 36%. Also, what they did to Shante Rogers.
Well, Skip Prosser did a great job of going to that 1-2-2 3-quarter court press. That took the ball out of the hands of Shante Rogers. And George Washington has been slow to a crawl, really, in that first half. What also happened is Xavier did a great job of forcing turnovers. 15 GW turnovers in that first half, and Xavier was able to run off of most of them. Here's the steal by Lenny Brown, getting it ahead to Lumpkin, who returns the favor to his backcourt mate since their school days. And this slow crawl for George Washington on the other end, and some inside opportunities for Alexander Kuhl. He was unable to finish upon those, but George Washington keeping in it off the boards. They had 23 rebounds in that first half. That was really the difference, but they've got to feel good, not playing as well as they can, to be only down 5 at the half.
Lumpkin and Braggs, joined by Brown, T.J. Johnson, and Darnell Williams start for Xavier. And Sherikoff, Poole, Gamba, King, and Rogers for George Washington.
George Washington starting out the second half in man-to-man.
Williams in the lane on the run, kept alive, and Poole, let's see, I believe he knocked it out. I'm going to keep it right here. Take a look at the first half stats. Free throws, not a big edge there, to 36% shooting by George Washington. Not real good. The rebounds, the Colonials with an edge by 7, and offensive rebounds, they were +5.
Well, that's what kept them in it. They were rebounding a lot of their close-in misses.
T.J. Johnson. And he went hard to the basket and drew a foul. They get Pat Gamba with a foul. That's his third.
Xavier does such a good job of getting the ball into scoring areas. The pass delivered to T.J. Johnson as he got an angle on Alexander Kuhl. Kuhl tried to get into three-quarter high position on the post. And T.J. Johnson uses that big body to get an angle, step in the lane toward the basket. It's so tough to defend that way.
Tough to get around, too. You bet. 6'7", 255. There's Gamba. Recruited out of Baltimore's Calvert High School. Led him to 2 straight Maryland State titles.
Little 1-2-1-1. Full court pressure. Torrey Braggs face guarding Rogers. They want to keep the ball out of his hands. And they did a great job of that in the first half.
And a lot of it with Williams. Williams pretty quick. 6'4", 195, but Rogers beats him that time. And Sherikoff pull up. And he's short. Loose ball. It'll stay right here. Good job by the officials to break that one up.
Showing some courage to get in the middle of that.
Mike Sincere getting in there.
Game ought to be refereed by 3 Green Berets.
Great line.
Yegor Musketeers pulling up short. He just short-armed that shot. And he's not the same player since he came back from that injury.
A couple of years ago when we saw him, he was a lot more loose and fluid with his shooting, too.
Well, he'll certainly get it back. I mean, he's an NBA player in the future. He's got the complete package.
Dedicated in the weight room, too, they tell me. Bruce Rogers with some room. Dante, the bounce. King ends up with it. King scores.
Mike King getting on the board. He had a rough first half after a great game last night against Temple. He had 19 points, and he put up 25 earlier this year against Xavier.
Brown got the pick from Johnson. Pick and roll, very effective. He lost it on the way up.
This is a terrific passing team, and they're a good interior passing team. Their big guys pass from post to post very well. Here you can see Lenny Brown threading that needle, and T.J. Johnson moving very well without the ball.
A little blocking foul on Poole, his third. Braggs got free on the inbound. And it does not bode well for George Washington. Third on Poole at 18:29.
As much as Xavier works on defending out-of-bounds plays, they also work on running their own out-of-bounds plays to score. And Skip Prosser has likened the out-of-bounds game to the kicking game in football. He thinks that's where games can be won or lost, and I certainly wouldn't disagree with him, especially the way his team executes.
What other teams come to mind in terms of inbound, on inbounds plays like that?
Duke, North Carolina both do a great job of scoring out their inbounds. Really, it's a trend in all of college basketball. It used to be the teams ran their inbounds play just to get the ball in and then get into their offense.
Right, now they go look at score.
Because you've got the defense really in a bad position. Guys have their backs turned toward the ball and their backs turned toward the basket oftentimes, and oftentimes they can be out of defensive position in a hurry. It's just an awkward position for the defense to be in. Most teams zone out of bounds now.
Leave Gamba alone. He missed that one. Darnell Williams knocked it off the hands of Poole. Xavier ball. Musketeers up 6. There has not been a tremendous flow in this game.
No, it's been a little bit of a fight. And I think Skip Prosser's done a nice job when he went in the first half to that 1-2-2 3-quarter court pressure. He really took away a lot of the offensive aggressiveness of GW. That way, Shante Rogers couldn't get out into the open court and make some things happen with his great handling skills.
Braggs backing his man down, loses it. Musketeers breaks out. King, nice change of gears, and he'll go to the line. He's got some explosion.
Change of pace, change of direction. He gets out into the open court. You take a look at Skip Prosser, and he is such an outstanding basketball coach, as is Mike Jarvis. And the Atlantic 10, I think, is blessed with some great coaches. And the one common denominator that they have, they were all teachers. I mean, Mike Jarvis taught at the high school level for 17 years.
John Chaney.
John Chaney, also a teacher. Jim Herrick was a high school teacher and coach. Skip Prosser, the same thing. These gentlemen all know kids. They know how to get into their heads, how to teach, and how to motivate them. He thinks very simple.
Francisco De Miranda returns for Alexander Poole. Poole will leave with 3 fouls.
De Miranda doing a nice job in this ball game again. 5 points, 5 rebounds in that first half. The only downside, he had 4 turnovers.
2 for 2 for Mike King. 4-point Xavier lead. Here's Johnson. Gets it over to Lunkin inside. Braggs powering home. De Miranda with a rebound for George Washington. A chance to cut into that deficit again.
Shante Rogers so difficult to defend because he stays so low to the ground with that low dribble. You just can't take the ball away from him.
Many have tried, many have failed. Sherikoff, sent back. De Miranda goes up strong. Missed the layup, but the tip is good.
Braggs and T.J. Johnson were going after it so hard they wound up taking each other out of the play, and that opened up the offensive glass for De Miranda. All of a sudden, GW has a little momentum play.
2-point Xavier lead. GW fans making themselves heard. Here's Williams. Slashes in. You can count it.
So tough along the baseline and out front when he gets the ball. Darnell Williams can put it on the floor and take it all the way in and finish. He is so much improved over last year. A terrific three-point shooter this season. He has improved his three-point percentage about 20 percentage points from last year to this year. And really made a run, I think, at first team All-Atlantic 10. You know, Xavier has so many outstanding threats and outstanding players. They kind of hurt each other in the voting. I think that's why they wound up on second and third team when they should have had some first teamers without question in my mind.
There is probably, you'll find a lot of folks will agree with you on that. DeMiranda's foul, it was his second. J.J. Braid came into the game, number 23 for George Washington. He picked up Musketeers. King, oh, he slipped going up. The miss by Gamba. And a foul against Xavier. Boy, the wet spots, as we mentioned in the first half, the ice is underneath this floor.
That's been happening in several of these games, Dave. You can see Mike King doing a nice job of taking some pressure off Rogers and handling the ball, and his feet just slipped right out from under him. He wasn't really bumped. And afterwards pointed down to the official that somebody needs to wipe up that wet spot.
GW getting it done on the second chance points. And a couple of days ago, we saw Edwin Young, the outstanding defensive guard for Dayton, didn't get touched and turned his ankle badly, and it limited his effectiveness tremendously. The next day, here's a look at the ice. Dayton, that happened to Edwin Young in the first round game against Fordham, and they went on to lose to Rhode Island.
And obviously Edwin Young not being available played a huge factor in that loss.
4 points, the Xavier lead, and a foul on the play. And that time, Brown ran into his own man, Posey.
Conventional wisdom says you can press a pressing team. Xavier is a pressing team, but when GW puts that press on, Xavier has so many solid handlers. They've got Lumpkin, the point guard. Lenny Brown can handle the ball, as can Williams and Posey.
That last George Washington foul was Braid's third. Miranda just picked up another one. That's his third. So team foul number 5 for George Washington.
Now, I'm not sure there's another guy in the Atlantic 10 that brings as much versatility to the table as James Posey. He can get out and defend a guy on the perimeter with those long arms, the great footwork and athleticism. He can defend inside against a big post man. He can score from a variety of different areas, get so many deflections on the defensive end. I was surprised he wasn't on the All-Atlantic 10 defensive squad.
He made a save last night along the baseline with a long reach and a ball that should have gone out of bounds, turned it into a positive. Xavier got a bucket, and it's just a spectacular play against Rhode Island last night.
Well, you know, he's remarked to some of his teammates, he's not getting rebounds as easily as he did last year, and they said, well, you dummy, you're so much better, they're keying on you. And everybody's talking about what a great player you are. They're trying to stop you first and foremost.
Guess what? You're in that first paragraph in the scouting report.
But a little light bulb went on over his head. You get featured on ESPN Sports Center every night, that's going to happen.
You guys do watch it. Braid having some trouble. Calls a timeout.
Mike Jarvis so proud of his team last night, especially that young man, J.J. Braid and Francisco DeMiranda. Who would have thought playing Temple in Philadelphia in the Atlantic 10 semifinals when Cool, Rogers, and Yegor Musketeers go 8 for 27 that they'd come away with a win.
Championship week presented by 7-Up. Later on tonight, following our game, sending to New York, the AT&T Big East Championship. Syracuse, number 21 against number 6, Connecticut, the top 2 seeds there. The WAC Championship follows its in, UNLV against number 19, New Mexico. And then the Big Sky Championship, the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks against the Montana State Bobcats.
And I'm going to stay up late to watch that because Danny Sprinkle, heck of a shooter for Montana State. And a couple of close friends. 2 heads are better than 1. Shante Rogers, one of the toughest players you're going to find, and he wanted to be a football player, and his cousin Kevin Norris, who plays for the Miami Hurricanes, talked him into playing basketball. And
good decision.
Shante Rogers is almost a legend in Baltimore, and he's the reason that Mike King wound up coming to George Washington. Those two played together at Lake Clifton High School, won a championship in the high school ranks.
Braid to inbound for George Washington. Boy, still under some pressure. Now they get it to King. 5-point Xavier lead.
It's an adventure just bringing the ball up, and Lumpkin has done a nice job keeping it out of Shante Rogers' hands. Look how much effort they had to go through just to get the ball in their hands of their point guard.
You bet. It took about 13 seconds. Rogers to Braid has certainly made a big comeback. Yesterday, his second double-figure game of the season. Rogers. Yes, it does. Loose ball. Xavier comes away with it.
Nothing has been easy for GW in their half-court sets. They wanted to make some passes, run their offense, but they haven't gotten anything here in the second half.
Miranda's in foul trouble. Posey going right after him. Up and under, lays it in.
See, somebody's got to come down there and double team to get the ball out of Posey's hands. That was just a clinic down low with his footwork to get around DeMiranda. DeMiranda's got to get wider down there. He was straight up and thin.
DeMiranda with 3 fouls. Watches Posey get his 10th point. King about Lenny Brown. So tough play. Great play indeed. Lumpkin. He got the roll. Xavier right now out hustling George Washington.
What a play by Lenny Brown.
And everybody going down that time. Rogers got tripped.
Yeah, that was it. That right leg came up, but Darnell Williams just tripped Rogers and wound up tripping Posey as well.
3rd foul on Posey. We take a timeout. 15-19 to go. And the many faces of Xavier.
Billy. Xavier leads George Washington by 9 in the Atlantic 10 championship game, and these are the kind of plays that win titles. Mike King showing the ball a bit to Lenny Brown, a great steals guy. Look at him get on the floor and get it out to Lumpkin. Lumpkin pulls it back away from Shante Rogers to avoid the steal and finishes the play. And James Posey went down hard after Darnell Williams tripped Shante Rogers. Shante Rogers went down right in front of Posey, and Posey went down hard.
3rd foul on Posey. Lenny Brown's got 3 steals, and along the baseline, flailing arms brings a foul call.
Going to go against Braggs.
And that's his 3rd.
Braggs trying to keep Yegor Masharikov from getting low post position.
Still looking to get some streamlined continuity in this game, and Xavier's defense certainly not allowing George Washington to get going the way they did last night against Temple.
There have been no easy looks in this ball.
Sherikoff is having all kinds of trouble buying a basket. Gamba likewise. Kicked out to Rogers.
One of the reasons Sherikoff is having so much trouble, he has to shoot on the move every time. He's got nothing from a standstill position.
Trying to beat everybody in the dribble this time. That was partially blocked, but a foul on T.J. Johnson.
I thought he might take a step in and pull back for a jump shot over T.J. Johnson. But everything off the move for Yegor Masharikov.
Is that a function you talk about, his confidence level being down?
Yeah, I think so. Still trying to get back from that injury. And, you know, when you come back from an injury in the middle of Atlantic 10 plays, you see that move and the little bump toward the end. It's not easy to get your rhythm back, especially when you're a player like Masharikov that relies on his timing for much of his success.
Yeah. Got just 3 for 13 last night against Temple. 12 points, 6 boards in 29 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, in the 9 games back, only averaging 9.9 points. He's a far better player than that.
Yeah.
It was especially unfortunate, I think, for him because he was playing the best basketball of his career when he went down with that ankle injury. He missed 3 ball games, and it was certainly rough on George Washington having him out at that stage of the Atlantic 10 schedule.
Missed them both at the line, and GW going to put some pressure on, down 9.
After a while, when your confidence goes down a bit, you start to press, and that makes it even worse.
Here's Lumpkin. Gets it to Posey. Braggs posting up on Gamba. Posey top now to Lumpkin. Lumpkin will pull from there. A little strong. Posey kept it alive. Nice tip to himself. And then he lost it out of bounds. It'll be George Washington ball. Alexander Poole returning to action.
Alexander Poole, he replaces Gamba.
There's Poole. Gamba takes a seat.
Gamba did a nice job defensively. Very physical down low. Wasn't allowing a whole lot going to the basket.
2 for 7, 8 boards for Gamba. 2 for 7 from the field. Here's Musketeers going to take it. Cool had his man locked up. Practically broke T.J. Johnson's wrist. They had him so locked up. That allowed Musketeers to go baseline.
That's exactly right. T.J. Johnson couldn't get around Alexander Cool because Cool had just grabbed him by the arm, and T.J. Johnson still swinging that arm around. Looks like Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack.
Yeah, I saw that. That's why the Bragg's hard to the hole. Offensive foul. That's the 4th on Bragg's. J.J. Braid stood in and took a pop.
Here's Musketeers along the baseline. You can see he'll come off this screen off the low block. And T.J. Johnson trying to get down there, but look at Alexander Cool just grabbing him, locking that arm down. And there's no way for Johnson to get down there and take the charge.
So Bragg's 4th at the 13:38 mark. See if that opens the door for George Washington. Down by 7, King. A lot of handling in the corner.
And if he shows that ball to Lenny Brown, he's going to take it away.
He's already lost 1. 17 on the shot clock.
That's the one thing that's hardest to teach to a freshman when he's got the ball. If you show it and don't protect it with your body, you can kiss it goodbye.
At this level, Cool muscles home and scores with 6 on the shot clock. 44-39 Xavier.
So important to keep him off the low block, and it's hard to do because when he gets a foot in the paint, he's impossible to stop.
They list him at 282. And Braggs is out of the game now. He's got 4 fouls. And a whistle off the ball.
Looks like it's going to go on King.
George Washington.
King, that's his 4th foul. So at the 12:50 mark, King gets his 4th foul. We won't see him for a few minutes. King on the bench. He's got 6 points. Not scoring at the clip he has the last couple of nights.
They got Krivenos on Lenny Brown. Krivenos an outstanding defender. He can just lock you up defensively. They call him the Iron Curtain.
And the inside battle, never ending between T.J. Johnson and Alexander Cool. 4th foul on Cool. Who's going to be left?
How'd you like to get these two in a game of Twister? Look at that down low. They're just fighting. Now Johnson's got Cool's arm locked up.
You got a devious mind.
Like you and Red.
At the line for Xavier, number 21.
Gamba back in. So this game, I tell you what, it was a war of attrition the last time out on February 16th. The game not on TV. It took an inglorious, and I put that in italics and underlined it, inglorious 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I mean, it's a good thing it wasn't on TV. It would have been a mini-series.
That's right. A couple at the line for T.J. Johnson. In that game, George Washington shot 26 of 40 from the line.
Here's the 1-2-2 3/4 court press by Xavier. You know, that brings up a point, Dave, in all seriousness. That was not a good foul by Alexander Cool. That's where he's got to back off when he knows he's got 3.
Nice rebound, J.J. Braid. Off the miss by Musketeers. His first field goal today. 5 points, the Xavier lead.
Strength very important in rebounding, but so is quickness.
Darnell Williams on the attack. Lost it. T.J. Johnson's got it. Foul Braid. And that's the 4th one, J.J. Braid. Mike Jarvis may have to suit up.
Pretty good weak side help here. Musketeers looking for that high screen, gives up the baseline. But J.J. Braid comes over from the weak side. He wasn't in a position to take the charge, but he came over with a sense of purpose of stopping the play, and he knocked that ball away.
That's our second nominee for the Oscars. Remember you had the one earlier?
That's right.
Cool. T.J. Johnson can't get it. Gamba, let's see. He lost it out of bounds. A tough break. And do you realize in the last 48 seconds, Mike Jarvis has seen King, Cool, and Braid pick up their 4th foul. That's 48 seconds on the game clock, of course.
Mike Jarvis has done such an outstanding job with this George Washington team. He's gotten players from 9 different countries. They all speak different languages, and he's meshed them very well together.
Up and over. It'll be Xavier ball. We got a timeout on the floor. Xavier by 5 here in the Atlantic 10 Championship. A lot of foul trouble plaguing GW. We're in Philadelphia at the Coors State Spectrum for the Atlantic 10 Championship Week. Here on ESPN. Xavier by 5, just under 12 to play, and fouls. Boy, I tell you what, 103 fouls last time. 7 players fouled out. Right now, GW has Poole, King, and Braid with 4. Braggs with 4 for Xavier.
Xavier going to stick with that 3-2 zone that was so successful in the first half.
Here's Musketeers, second jump in a row. He missed another one.
Nice.
And Darnell Williams on the floor. He's called for the foul. His third.
Really nice screen along the baseline by Patrick Gamba that freed up Musketeers for that shot. This shows that you can screen a zone as easily as you can screen man-to-man.
Certain matchups just bring out this kind of play, right? I mean, the styles are just made to clash and present all this contact. There's J.J. Braid at the line.
Well, GW's got great strength and size.
You bet.
Xavier's able to match that in certain positions.
Lenny and make that Gary Lumpkin going through Rogers. He gets called for the foul. His third.
Shante Rogers is only 5'4" tall, and that might even be a stretch. But it's amazing how many rebounds he's able to grab. His career high in rebounds is 14. Alexander Poole's career high is 13.
I know.
You think he has some fun at the training meal with that one?
All over. Ground rebounds for Xavier.
What's your career high in rebound, big fella? What's that again?
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, that's right. One less than mine. That's what I thought you said.
Fouls mounting for Xavier, Jay. This is getting really wild here with Lumpkin, Williams, and Johnson with 3. Braggs with 4.
Well, it seems like from the feel of this game that Xavier's in control, but they're only up 5.
It's amazing. That didn't go in. Williams did everything but put it home. J.J. Braid in the corner. GW in no hurry.
Shante Rogers really hasn't been looking for his shot. He's been content to distribute.
Sherikoff, nice move in the lane. Won't go. Kept alive. Who's going to get it? Xavier does. And Posey. Hello. Shante Rogers came out of his shoe back at midcourt. Just now getting up.
You know, Lumpkin and Rogers kind of took each other out of the play at midcourt, and that allowed Posey to go all the way for that nice slam.
Got some roller derby principles in this game tonight. Miss, and here comes Posey. He got tripped by Braid. Braid's done. That's his 5th.
Well, James Posey, with his versatility, not only able to grab those rebounds, but he can start the break by himself.
So Braid is gone at the 10-12 mark. He can't complete, but it's been a terrific week in Philadelphia for him coming off the bench. Just 2 points and 1 rebound. Off of 17 points last night, 5 of 8 from the field against Temple.
Just couldn't get anything going tonight, primarily because of Xavier's defense. They've done a great job.
Seiko Camarazi.
They expected Xavier to come out in their usual man-to-man defense. But they've really switched things up nicely. Got to give all that credit to Skip Prosser with his game plan.
I think next year Skip Prosser will keep a good thing going. Keep Posey coming off the bench. Or is he going to?
Yeah, that's a good question. He thinks that he's got his best 5 starting right now, and that Posey really gives them a nice dimension coming off the bench. And he knows that Posey'd like to start. Everybody wants to. But his response to James has been, look, I know you want to start, but don't talk to me. Naismith was the guy that said only 5.
And it works, too.
Yeah, because James Posey believes in Skip Prosser. And he believes in what he's trying to do and the way he's selling it to him. And he certainly got some benefits out of it by being the A-10's best 6th man, and I think the nation's best 6th man.
He's got 14. Musketeers finally hit one. You know, he got 10 points, and His shooting numbers not great tonight. 3 for 10.
Well, he took that shot in rhythm, went straight up and down. It wasn't on the move.
Brown, look at a war inside. Musketeers and Posey. Lumpkin slashes. Nice lead for Williams. They missed another one. Second time he was right there. And we got a foul on Darnell Williams. Couldn't ask for better opportunity.
Some physical play down low. Here's Musketeers going against Posey, trying to break contact and get around in front. And here's the penetration by Lumpkin. And I thought at first Darnell Williams looked like he was going up to dunk that. But what happened, he got caught underneath the basket and tried to adjust the angle to go off the glass and just missed it.
No foul called on that.
That middle is wide open if somebody breaks into it. There's Musketeers.
Rogers, baseline. Camara, good shooter. Couldn't get it. Oh, jump ball. Boy, they are contesting tonight. Really good effort. Musketeers said, hey, he was over my shoulder. Donnie Gray says, stop right there. It'll stay right here. Possession arrow favoring GW.
Musketeers had inside position. Both those players, Posey and Musketeers, have long arms. They're both athletic. And both went after it.
Rogers on the corner. Line drive too strong. Posey kept it alive. He's got one man to beat now. Krivenos going to lay it up. Couldn't get it. And Krivenos rebounds for GW. Foul on Williams. What a sequence that was.
Posey tried to slow himself down to take off with 2 feet, but Shante Rogers was the guy that made it so difficult. Look at Rogers. Posey's got him in mind. Krivenos comes from the other side. And he went off of 1 foot. That's where, Dave, you need to slow down, do a 2-footed jump stop, get under control, maybe use a shot fake. That way you can go up, get the basket, and perhaps get fouled. And Darnell Williams has to be a little bit smarter in going after that rebound.
Williams his 4th. He's replaced by Braggs. He has 4. Here's your free throw numbers this season. Krivenos, 78% on the season. The baby-faced assassin, they call him, J.J. Braid, he's done for the evening. And Williams, having a strong game with 11 points, is on the bench with his 4th.
In a game where points have been at a premium. And they put up 95 last night. And unless something breaks quickly, they're not going to get there.
T.J. Johnson asking for delay action called against George Washington.
Yegor Musketeers knocked the ball away, so he's not to let Xavier get out quickly and give his teammates a little bit more time to get back defensively.
Xavier with the ball up 5. Another whistle.
They do such a nice job of feeding post to post.
California with a big lead. And Texas Southern pulling away from Prairie View. Good one down. And with Texas Arlington in the lead.
They stayed the favorite in that ball game.
Posey back to the line. He's 8 of 10 tonight. That one didn't have a chance as soon as he let it go. Posey, the leading free throw shooter for Skip Prosser's Xavier Musketeers. 3rd year in the Atlantic 10 for Xavier. He did one and done the last 2 years here in the A-10 tournament. Now in the championship. So 1 out of 2 for Posey. Musketeers brought a lot of fans here from Cincinnati.
2-2-1 again, or the 1-2-2, excuse me, and slowing everything down.
Posey got his hands on it. GW with the numbers advantage, and he traveled. Took that extra step trying to set up Krivenos. Turnover number 11. I checked at 19 for George Washington. Xavier has 11.
And Dave, the deflection actually got George Washington at a faster pace, one where they could have scored on the transition play, but Rogers uncharacteristically turning it over, and now George Washington going to go into a little 1-2-2 zone of their own. Krivenos out front, he'll drop down.
Posey gets it to Braggs, will have to be careful.
Watch Krivenos, when the ball goes to a wing, he does what they call a point drop. He'll get down and make it look like a 2-3. There he goes.
Leaves Braggs open. Good pump fake, gets Krivenos in the air. Foul on number 13, Krivenos. That's his first 10th team foul. Double bonus in effect. 9 team fouls for Xavier.
Torrey Bragg's pretty good free throw shooter, coming in about 74%. He brings such an unbelievable intensity to the floor, especially over the last 5 or 6 games where he's averaged close to 20 points and 10 rebounds a ball game.
Bragg's good form.
And he really sets the tone for this team. And against Rhode Island, had 23 points, 11 rebounds. In the game before that against Rhode Island, he had 20 rebounds. You have to go all the way back to 1991 for another Musketeer who had 20 boards, and that was against Loyola Marymount when there were probably 100 rebounds available.
Let me tell you, all those rebounds he had against Rhodey were men's rebounds, too. Let me tell you, 53-45 Xavier as we take a timeout.
Coming up next, the final chapter in what's been a very exciting Big East tournament. Khalid El Amin and the Huskies against the Orangemen. Tip-off about 8-11. We'll take you there next. Back to Philly.
Thank you, Chris. Here in Philadelphia, Xavier with a 53-45 knockdown, drag-out kind of affair. A lot of folks in foul trouble. J.J. Braid already done for George Washington. Cool and King with 4. Gamba and DeMiranda with 3. Xavier not without its foul troubles. Braggs and Williams with 4. Posey, Johnson, and Lumpkin with 3. Here's Rogers being harassed by Lumpkin. Rogers with Krivenos, Misherikov, Gangba, and Mike King.
The only place that looks open in this zone might be the middle. Misherikov is the guy that ultimately they're going to want to get in there on a little middle cut. There it is.
He's shooting just 3 for 10 tonight. Rogers, he's got room. And he hit it. It's a triple for Shante Rogers. GW hanging around here. 53-48. Rogers with 10.
Rogers coming off a pretty tough outing last night against Temple. He did not put a lot of points on the board. Only 6 after scoring 28 in the opener against UMass. What a
Posey got free. Terrific delivery by Braggs. 17 for Posey.
Torrey Bragg, such a good passing big guy.
But Rogers, look at that. Weave through just about everybody. Misherikov put it up. 3 out of 11 now for Diego.
Awfully difficult shot by Misherikov, and it was made without forcing the Xavier defense to work at all. No passes made. The defense didn't have to move, and I think it surprised some of his teammates who weren't in a position to grab an offensive rebound.
Braggs to Gary Lumpkin.
Tough matchup for Krivenos right now on Posey. He ought to post him up.
Coming up high. They will rub him off. 8 on the shot clock. They give it to Braggs. He checks the shot clock, puts it on the floor, loses his handle for a second, gets it back. It's good. The best thing that happened is that he slipped.
What a play by Braggs. Keeping control of the ball, getting back up, and then going after his own rebound. And Mike Jarvis right now very upset. When you go down like that, that's supposed to be a travel if you get back up.
Posey just got his 4th foul.
Let's take a look at this move. Braggs loves to go to his left, but he kept his dribble the whole time, so it might not have been a travel. Normally, when you go down and try to get back up, they're going to call a walk on you, and that's exactly what Mike Jarvis wanted.
Kind of brought back memories of Marcus Haynes for some folks. The old Globetrotters. But Marcus was not a 6'8", 200-plus pounder.
I was going to say Marcus has been in the weight room a little bit.
Braggs going at 236. So now Braggs with Williams and Posey with 4 fouls each. Tell you what, that window's still open for George Washington. Down 57-48, but they're going to have to make a run here before long. Williams back in for Posey. There's your Xavier foul trouble.
Darnell Williams coming back into the ball game, shaking his arm, telling his teammates no fouls.
Williams rebounds the Rogers miss. 6-minute mark here in Philadelphia at the Atlantic 10 Championship. Dave Sims and Jay Dillis with you.
9-point lead. They want to run some clock here. And some good offense now. GW in a man-to-man.
Braggs with Cool back in the game. Interior pass was picked off. How about that? Braggs with the left hand wound up with the ball, and he scores. He's got 11.
And just a great job by T.J. Johnson to knock it back to him.
Rogers right in the face of Lumpkin.
How does he continually get that shot off against bigger defenders? He's an amazing player.
3 threes for Shante Rogers. He has 13 points tonight.
Gary Lumpkin being very careful with the ball. He's got the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the conference.
Here's Braggs. He got hit. Then he got grabbed, so he just threw it up. Figured he'd get a three-point opportunity. Nothing doing. Rogers. Here's King. That's a 3. Can't get it. Kept alive. T.J. Johnson for Xavier.
Johnson just used his body so effectively in blocking out. Didn't go high for that rebound, but got awfully wide.
Nothing like being able to wedge somebody like that. TJ uses what he has, I'll tell you. Big, strong young man. 8-point lead for Xavier. Coming up on the 4:30 mark. Poole's got 4 fouls. Make it 5. Do they count it?
No.
Alexander Poole. That's Vidania. He's out of here. 4:31 mark.
Torrey Braggs wanted the basketball from the second Gary Lumpkin brought it over the half-court line. And here you can see last time he went left, this time putting it on the floor and going right. And that is not a position where Alexander Poole wants to be. With 4 fouls, he's probably better off letting Braggs go. But Alexander Poole does not spend a lot of time in practice defending out on the perimeter.
So 2 GW Colonials have fouled out. For Poole, 6 points and 2 rebounds. Braggs at the line, his total mounting. Braggs has 12 points.
And a year ago, this might have been a much bigger loss for this George Washington team to lose Poole with 31 left to go in the ballgame. But Mike Jarvis has some more depth this year, and it's allowed his players to be much more competitive in practice. He's got a lot more confidence in the guys he can bring in off the bench.
Krivenos and Masherkoff leave. Gamba and Di Miranda enter the game. Trying to make it a 10-point lead for X, and he does.
Been a very workmanlike ball game for Torrey Braggs and for Xavier in general.
We got to get some shots up. Lumpkin doing a good job against Rogers. Seiko Cameron's in the game, number 44. Here's Di Miranda. Knocked out of bounds by Braggs.
Another nice play by Torrey Braggs, getting caught in the middle. A little bit of no man's land there in between King and Di Miranda, but still was able to get a hand on the ball to break up a play.
Rogers coming up on the 4-minute mark. He got the shot off. Lumpkin rebounds, sends out Braggs to Brown ahead of the packet. And a hard foul given by Seiko Cameron. Lenny Brown shaking it off, says he's okay.
You know, Dave, I'm a big believer when you're out ahead of the pack, you got to come to a 2-footed jump stop here. He knew there was going to be some contact. You have to protect yourself. And he certainly could have left that ball back for Torrey Braggs on the right-hand side. But anytime you take off a 1 foot and there's going to be contact, you're exposing yourself to possible injury. And you're also relieving yourself of being able to complete that play.
Brown good with the first one, 72.8% from the line. Masherkoff back in for Di Miranda.
What a great story Lenny Brown is on this Xavier basketball team. The Xavier team has 4 guys who've scored over 1,000 points on this team in their careers. 3 of them are juniors.
How scary is that?
I mean, it's amazing, and they're going to get a 4th junior who will be a senior next year. James Posey's going to score 1,000 points early on in the season next year.
12 points, the biggest lead of the evening for Xavier. Under 4 to play here in the Atlantic 10 Championship at the Core State Spectrum in Philly. Cameron, he's going to have to go here. He's putting up some shots. Great attempt by Lenny Brown. Lenny Brown is just a hustling dynamo. Great job by the Xavier Musketeers. They lead by 12 in the Atlantic 10 Championship.
1 final in Shreveport. Nicholls State up 3. Texas Arlington's Bill Washington for the tie. Nails it, but wait a second. The clock had expired. Nicholls State gets the automatic bid. Dave?
Thank you, Chris. Here in Philadelphia at the Atlantic 10 Championship, it's been all Xavier. Skip Prosser's team has led from minute 1. 3:41 to go, and coming up next, Championship Week presented by 7-Up. It's the AT&T Big East Championship game. Top 2 seeds, UConn against Syracuse. Musketeers puts it up under duress. Gamba got hacked by Brown. He'll go to the line. Musketeers is struggling big time. 3 for 12 from the field.
And the leading scorer for George Washington thus far has been Shante Rogers, but he hasn't been able to get off any assists. He's only got 2 assists for the ball game. And it just shows you how disjointed this game has been offensively for GW.
A reminder that AT&T Big East Tournament Championship Final tips off at 8:11 this evening from Madison Square Garden in New York City. Gamba at the line. Gets that one to fall. And how about this? Walt Hazard's son is in the game. He's a senior, Rasheed Hazard. The son of Walt Hazard, one of the great Philadelphia players at Overbrook High and a legend at UCLA.
Here comes the trap, split by Lumpkin.
Brown and Lumpkin handling things up top. Approaching 3 minutes to go, and Xavier in control right now.
And if they hang on to win this ball game, what a great story. The second time they've won the Atlantic 10 West this year.
Oh, hello, Posey. Got the X-Fans off their feet. Posey with 19. Been a good year for the Atlantic 10. Rogers runs down his own rebound. Put back. They're struggling mightily. Musketeers, he missed that one, but he was fouled by T.J. Johnson. A-10 will do well. Looking at 5 solid bids. GW, Xavier, Temple, UMass, and Rhode Island.
And Dayton will definitely go to the NIT. All these teams over 20 wins on the season. And this Xavier team, if they're able to hang on and win, you know, some people have termed this season a disappointment for them. And that's just ludicrous. The expectations have gotten so high for Xavier that 22-7 is considered not up to their ability level.
Well, they are playing rather well right now. They come in having won 3 straight and 6 of 8.
I mean, this is a team that beat Cincinnati earlier in the season by 20.
Cincinnati won the Conference USA Championship at home this afternoon.
And ranked 13th in the country right now. They will be a seeded team in the NCAA tournament, a very dangerous one.
And a foul given, stopping the clock with 2:36 to go.
You know, Dave, this Xavier team is going to be a very dangerous team to play in the NCAA tournament as well. Last year, they dismissed Vanderbilt in the first round, lost to UCLA in the second round, in a real up-and-down ball game. 2 talented teams that can score.
In the Xavier Ball Club, the depth, the defense, shoot it well.
The balance.
And the balance, yep.
They've got so many guys that are capable of big nights. And Darnell Williams, Posey can give you 30, so can Brown. And Lumpkin, Torrey Braggs has put big numbers up on the season. All these guys know their roles very well. They press, get an up-and-down game, and they can score. And when you can score points in the NCAA tournament, you can do some damage. This is a definite team that can make the Sweet 16 if they play well.
Posey with 20, and a reminder, Championship Week presented by 7-Up continues. The AT&T Big East Championship game immediately following the conclusion of our game here in Philadelphia. Coming up. 67-54, biggest lead of the evening. 13 points for the Musketeers of Xavier. Musketeers air ball this time. And Yeagar's had a nightmare. 3 of 13.
Second night in a row, that's his output. Had 12 points last night.
Gives the foul on Braggs. For Musketeers, his second foul.
This was certainly not an easy draw for George Washington.
At the line for Xavier, number 50.
They have to play Temple in the semifinals, their first ball game against UMass.
That was a battle, another heavyweight battle. Guys go right after each other.
Yeah, Cool going head-to-head with Larry Kettner, one of the best big guys on the East Coast this season.
And Braggs adding yet another exclamation point for the Musketeers. He's got 14. He's got 11 of them here in the second half.
I'll tell you what, he's making a solid run at tournament MVP.
Coming up in the final 2 minutes. 15-point lead for Xavier. That air ball taken down by Braggs. Leads out Posey. Hold on to your seatbelts. Bingo! Posey with 23.
And I think that can be comfortably termed an exclamation point.
You bet. King baseline runs into a T.J. Johnson wall, but scores nonetheless.
You know, if you had to say or pick an indispensable player for Xavier, it might be Torrey Braggs, it might be Posey.
Dante Rogers breaks that play up. He made a play last night that would have made most defensive backs proud, going back to jumping high in the air to deflect the pass away that led to some GW points. A little bit too late right now. Musketeers. He hits that one. Timeout. George Washington with 1:18 to go. So Musketeers on the night with 15 points, but it's been a long evening for GW. 1:18 to go. Xavier about to win it all.
A sellout in Madison Square Garden. Electric atmosphere as Todd Bergen and the Orangemen get set to battle the UConn Huskies for the Big East Championship coming up next. Dave?
Back here in Philadelphia, Dave Sims and Jay Billis with you. Xavier in control in the final 1:18.
And Xavier's defense has really been the story tonight, Dave. And look at the deflections. 30 times tonight, Xavier hands have gotten on the basketball to knock it away, and that's turned into 9 steals. They've taken a couple charges. They've just been everywhere enforcing those 19 turnovers.
Lenny Brown against a lot of pressure. T.J. Johnson. And Braggs with another dunk.
Now, this Xavier team is not a team that's got a bunch of defensive stoppers. They are collective stoppers. They play great team defense.
Double dribble called by Jody Sylvester. Dante Rogers with 60 seconds left in the season. Alexander Cool fouled out at the 4:31 mark. Xavier had a 10-point lead and has expanded since then.
And I think Alexander Cool is looking forward to getting to the NCAA tournament where he will get to play against some teams that don't know him quite as well.
Camara hits the 3. Makes it 73-62. Heads up. Lenny Brown. No damage. We did not have to take a charge.
And what a polite kid. He put back all of our notes.
That's right.
Didn't want to mess anything up. Here he comes. Lenny Brown getting a little bump and coming right out of bounds. And well, let me fix this for you. Sorry about that. Look, oh, got something stuck there? Here you go. Well, it says Lenny Brown all tournament team. No wonder he wanted to put it back.
46.8 to go. King fouls out with 8 points.
Skip Prosser teaches basketball, teaches manners. One thing, Skip Prosser went to the Merchant Marine Academy, and one of their mottos was acta non verba, actions not words. And this team has spoken with its actions tonight.
Coming up in a few minutes, the AT&T Big East Championship game. Top-seeded UConn against second-seeded Syracuse. Final 45 and change here from Philadelphia.
I'll tell you what, Xavier going to enjoy this victory.
Big rebound, Braggs. He's been everywhere. Kept it alive that time to Johnson, now to Lumpkin. Time to celebrate in Cincinnati. Give the foul with 28.8 seconds to go. Xavier with a big win here in Philadelphia. We send you to our ESPN studio and Chris Fowler.
Dave, thank you. As the Colonials choose to prolong the inevitable, we're set to go to New York now to Mike Tirico and Len Elmore, the final chapter in a tremendous Big East conference.